Okay, all right. I think it's time. I think it's time to have the conversation. Aside from IHOP happening over here, one major thing that's been happening over here is, and I can't believe I'm actually wanting to talk about this with you guys. The trans debate.
Oh yeah, that's been kicking up lately, huh?
Yeah. Cassius Stewart was on I can't remember the gal name, her show, and
the one Clint Watson used to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you saw the video then.
No. But I just want to show you here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it was him and a guy who's obviously gay. They was talking about something about like how they saying like because they want to introduce. One lady says she wanted to talk about having like the trans talk in schools or whatever over here. So I'm like, okay, I have to be honest, right? And I know we can play, but we can play right now. But I want to get this out first. I don't know where I stand on it, and I can be honest with that, because on one hand I get where people are coming from with saying that people should be learned on the whole trans thing or whatever. But on the other hand, I don't know if it's going to be taught in schools. I think it should be taught at like not primary school or whatever, obviously, but like at the level like when kids are like hit puberty and shit, and then like they getting ready like start attempting sex or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Let's just say whenever you would teach kids about sex ed.
Yes. Now and see that drives me to another point. I realize, and because I was talking about this with someone else just a few days ago, and they said that like you do realize we don't have sex ed in any of our schools, right? And I was like,
which is true, both true and tragic.
So I'm like, all right. I think if it was a sex ed class, that topic could be introduced in sex ed to introduce kids to introduce teenagers to the idea of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So now young kids, nah, I don't think young kids are there. That's how I don't feel.
I don't think you're gonna find a lot of people who disagree with that. Even amongst the trans community, I don't think you're gonna have a lot of people who disagree with that. Here's the main issue with even trying to introduce something like that. If we don't even have sex ed, how do you even begin to have any type of trans conversation where we're not even teaching basic sex ed in class, just like as a requirement?
That's true.
Like at this point, like I would like for that discussion to be had for sure. Just for the sheer purpose of one, education, and two, normalizing it so it doesn't seem like such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see how you could have that conversation when you're barely having sex ed. Like you're putting the cart before the horse here. But if you're gonna you can't have one without the other. Because I don't see how you could possibly try to explain one and not have the other. So both need to go hand in hand. And unfortunately, just because of like the conservative nature of this country, the fact that we are always like 20, 30 years behind in terms of like where the current mindset is.
And
I don't know.
And overly Christian.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like Christian, conservative, close-minded, just ultimately close-minded as a result.
And then Cassius was running on with the shit about the like Budweiser and shit. And he's like, I like how America's pushing back on this. Americans? Oh, thanks. Listen, thanks, Larry Fisherman. I appreciate it. He's like, I like how Americans is pushing back against this gay agenda. I'm like, there is no fucking gay agenda, mate. If niggas... the gay agenda has I almost fucked it. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I don't listen. If a guy like mine, let him like mine. Because him liking mine has no impact on how I'm going to live my life. I don't give a fuck if you like mine. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you like mine. I don't care if some guy like woman. That don't bother me. The only thing dudes them to be mad at, because the only thing dudes be mad at if guys like women is the fact that they can't get them. That's the only reason why they be mad.
That's a problem.
all this cock going round and all you want to do is like y'all, boy. I listen to these motherfuckers and I have to laugh. I be like, motherfucker.
That's just how it is. Like,
kidding me, right?
I talk too much. Like I talk too much. I want to hear what Sean has to say about this, but I'll just say this. Like, if we don't have sex ed, it's not that we as a country are unable to have the trans discussion. We can't have it.
Nope.
Because we're not even doing the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like the trans conversation, especially if we're talking in high school, is an advanced conversation to have.
Mm.
You know, at least in terms of like what kids should be, what kids are like learning to wrap their heads around at that point. And you know what? I'll even go a little further. By the time you hit high school, it's too late because these kids. Yeah, no, because not to say that it should be educated like sooner, like, or at least I can have the debate or the discussion on that. But like, these kids have TikTok from their like 6.
Man, listen.
Okay.
TikTok is the new paintbrush, babe.
Yeah, when I say that, I say TikTok, but I just mean insert social media platform of choice here. Okay.
Exactly.
Once upon a time it was MySpace, or once upon a time it was Facebook or High Five, but like. Basically, if these kids will know about something, they can find out in short order, well before you as a parent would have even think to have that conversation with your kid.
Yeah,
you do it ready to me. You see what I'm saying? So the conversation needs to be had. It may potentially need to happen sooner than high school. I can have a debate on that. You know, I can have the back and forth on that. But like, we are just trapped. We are just unequipped to have it.
So,
and it's
I was gonna tell you before you come up in front of me. There's these guys on. All right, never mind. I forget. You get the bubble. I forget about that real quick. The bubble. You didn't listen to me, boy. When he say stop blowing bubbles, you actually do it, and it saves lives.
Damn right.
It saves fucking lives. It says no. Everything you said is correct. And that's why I really feel that's why whenever I hear all this shit going around, I just be like, "Hey, come on, man! Y'all taking this shit way too far."
Like,
of
course, Cassius Stewart is gonna say some shit like that. He's a nationalist. Like, he is for Bahamians, but at the exclusion of everything else. Okay.
He is for Bahamians and for Christians.
Yeah, but at the exclusion of everything else. Like, he leaves no room. He leaves as little room as possible for everything else. As if you could even if you're gonna kick out every non-Bahamian in this country anymore. Just it don't work like that. Okay, we are in an integrated society now, whether people like it or not. It just is what it is. So
fuck it, I use my revive. I use my revive.
Okay. Yeah, so
sound of the fuck
people like Cassius Stewart are just he is way too close-minded for me to ever listen.
Alright, I got it.
Hold on, I'm kind of.
No, Sean uses it.
Yeah, he used my
revive going. Fuck. Sorry about that, babe. I was trying to get the cover, babe.
It's whatever. Yeah.
Fuck it.
See, I kind of conflicted about it in a few ways too.
Yeah, I would able to.
Yeah, we know your point, dude.
But my thing about it is, I think that's definitely something that should be addressed by the family first, before it's taken up in school. Because the main reason I don't want it done in schools in the Bahamas specifically is because, just like you all say, we are too Christian to have a common sense, average, secular conversation in some way. Because I don't see teachers, especially in the Bahamas, doing it without the bias that's going to come with it.
Man.
And that's the part that I think that's really going to be the issue.
I have to agree with you. I don't think you're wrong, but I think the same criticism you would have to the teachers is the same one you can have with the parents.
Well, of course it's going to happen with that. The only reason I want the parents to be the ones to have that first is because, we already have a problem when people get kicked out of their homes because they get pregnant early and things like that. We don't have the infrastructure to take care of them type of issues.
But here's the thing about that. Here's the thing what I will say about that. You know why gals be getting pregnant?
The sex ed conversation?
Because we don't have no fucking sex ed. We don't know fucking sex ed. If we were having proper sex ed, kids them would learn, but listen, you don't have sex before
See,
marriage.
I don't believe that as much as you
marriage.
saying that.
I
I
don't
believe it'll be like somewhat more preparatory, but I don't think it's gonna change that much. Because even here, where they have sex ed, the kids just got pregnant early. That's all it is.
Oh, shit.
It's just the fact that like parents don't like really have oversight over their kids now,
I'm
because
down.
usually, especially in the modern day homes, the kids are more tech savvy and more like information aware than the parents are. And that's, I think, a part of the problem. Because if you got parents who still living like they back in their days, and the kids know how to get all the information off the internet before the parents even figure out what's going on, it doesn't really matter. The
That's
kids
the
will always
thing,
be
though.
running circles around the parents.
That's the thing, but it's weird for people over here. It's weird. I don't know why parents over here just never want to have the sex talk with their kids. But I just be
Because
like,
they used to
That's an
the
uncomfortable
way they grow up. Exactly.
It
They
is-
used
it
to
is
the way
an
they growing up, and
uncomfortable
then the way they
Yeah.
grow up, like how our parents grew up, it wasn't a
Yeah.
conversation you had.
Very,
you
yeah,
basically
yeah.
just grew up and you just like did what you supposed to
Played
do.
it by ear, figured it out, whatever.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
but then
And so they basically stuck in that mindset where
Right.
that's how we grew up and that's how it should be.
it
And
became a generational thing. Yes.
exactly, and like they get outpaced on our lap by technology, because technology like is far more advanced than it used to be,
Yeah.
and it grows faster like every generation. So it's like by the time the parents even catch on to what's happening,
You
kids
ain't
already
lying about
running
that.
circles around them like 4 or 5 times.
You ain't lie about that shit. You ain't lie about that.
Like it's a
complicated
multifaceted
situation.
problem. It's a multifaceted problem.
Definitely
There's
a
no-
complicated situation.
Yeah, there's no simple solution. That being said, it definitely requires a multi-pronged approach.
Definitely.
Does school does school teaching sex ed eliminate the problem of stuff like teen pregnancy? No. Would it have to maybe put a dent? Would it have to maybe put a dent in it? Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like, is it at least worth trying? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So
But that's
like,
the problem. Like they don't really have the urge to try something, because especially in our country, they got the fear that if you talk about it, you're gonna make it happen faster. And that's why they never want to do nothing about it until it's too late.
But here's the thing about that is like okay, I get the idea that a parent. I mean, I guess. Listen, I can't talk. I don't even want no children. Okay, so let me for anyone who listening in the fucking chat right now, because I know there's some people who just followed. If you're listening to the chat right now, I can be real with you. I know expert on having kids because I don't even want none. But at the same time, if people I don't know why parents be so aside from that, the problems that could arise by not having the fucking sex talk, like you had like kids who don't know that they were being, and I don't want to use the word, so I could just say what everyone they say essayed or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
They don't know that that's what's been going on with them, because they don't understand that this person said, oh, it's okay for me to do this, and they don't understand that this is wrong or whatever. So I'd be like, I think for everyone the sex talk is different, and I do get that it is different, but my God, still fucking have it, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's the
Still
problem.
fucking
Like
have it,
for
dog.
every community that excuse me, that's different, because like just like how we like have that same type of sentiment in the Bahamas, in America the Jewish community has that same type of thing. Like they have those like I don't want to call it backwards, because like I don't know as much about their community as I can truly say, but it's just the fact that they have things that we would like in modern day consider somewhat like held back of like traditionalist standards or whatever.
Let's say like draconic.
Yeah, draconic. That's
Whoever
draconic.
down, I got you. Wow, I on fire. I on hard fire. I on hard fire just now, motherfucker.
And it's just those things, like I said, I think it's just a generational gap in some things that, me personally, especially by the way, like this, like trans thing is being pushed, I don't think we having enough conversation about it to be pushing it the way that it's being pushed. That's the same thing I was saying when I was talking with like Kono about it inside the chat like a while back, a few days ago. I think it's moving too fast. Just simply because people aren't really having conversations about what the aftermath of a lot of these things are going to be.
Yeah, and frankly, the simple truth about that is, like, as much as I feel the discussion needs to be had, and I'm going to be very specific about this, the online trans community does themselves no favors.
Yes,
The way they carry on with certain shit. They do themselves no favors. They don't, like, instead of like trying to like open up dialogue and discussion so that people can have like the necessary conversations that you want them to have, you give them shit every time every time you say every time they say something that they feel is even slightly out of pocket.
Yeah.
That's usually what the issue is. You get hit with the transphobe title if you say anything adverse to what they believe, and that's kind of what the problem is.
You know what really happened with J.K. Rowling at the end of the day?
Nothing.
She said that she
got her
didn't.
money.
Once upon a time, the very first thing she said, you could have maybe called it like a little stupid, a little ignorant, or whatever. But the problem was the trans community came down on us so fucking hard that at that point she felt like she had no choice but to double down.
It wasn't even that, because I had to look into it to see what the whole thing was about, because I was listening to this podcast where they was talking about it. And what the situation was is that she, especially in where she lives, gives to a bunch of women-specific charities.
Sure.
And they had something where they was saying something against her where she didn't provide the same benefits to the trans community. And what she specified in saying was she sympathizes with them, but her charity is for actual women. And that kicked off the problem. And once I was looking into it, because I thought she said something, well, they're not, something where it could come off ignorant. They don't really have the same struggle as actual women, so something like that. That's why I expected she did. British are a bit more blunt than we are.
We good.
No, y'all go ahead.
Because I was saying, the British are more blunt than we are, so I figured it was something like that. All she said was, look, my charity is made for actual, survivors of certain situations.
Yeah, but you know how people behave.
That's what happened, and they blew it into this whole thing. And just like you said, because they came at her so hard, she had to double down based on the fact that she wasn't trying to be offensive. She just was specifying, this is who my charity is for.
Right.
I understand y'all got issues too, but that's not what I made this for.
Right. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't the best way to say it. Maybe it wasn't the best language, but people are learning.
There you go. And that's what I was saying too. Is it's not like she came out of left field to say something offensive. She simply was specifying I made this thing for this, and that was it.
And when the trans community wilded out, it closed any possibility of.
No, they do that on purpose.
Yeah, they kind of.
They do that on purpose. They make it because I forgot what it's called. Because I just found out about the term last week. It's something where they make something so egregious that even talking about it puts you in a light where people want to avoid it so it won't be talked about, and they can keep the narrative in a way that they keep it, or the way that they want it.
I forget what it's called. I know what you mean, but I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I literally just found out about it last week, so that's why I don't remember.
Yeah, and again, I want to be very specific. When I say the vocal minority online.
Trust me, it's always that.
Yeah, but because personally, the way I feel about it, the vast majority of the trans community, they just want to live their fucking life.
That's the same thing I was telling Kono. I was like, the average person doesn't really stress about them that much.
Yeah,
just like how it's is the loud minority on the right part of it, there's also the loud minority on the left side of it. The average person isn't really stressing about them that big.
I'm hanging, says we wish you could join us.
It's only 3 players die.
Yeah. You mean in the game or in this conversation? Because Saturdays and Sundays is only for teams.
Yeah.
But if it's the chat's acting stupid, and the game is only 3 players. So sorry, I'm hanging. Sorry about that. No, I am not using my revive now. Someone please come get me, please. In the name.
I didn't even know you that.
Yeah, you right in front of me. Oh, I can get you in there.
All right.
I mean, I can finish using my rockets.
All right, take your time. I can wait.
But yeah, that's the thing with the trans community thing. Because just like I was saying in the chat, I don't think people are as against that being a thing as much as people would like to believe. It's just the fact that it's being pushed way too aggressively, and that's what I think people are pushing back against. Because if you ask me, and I said this to the trans person at work too, I was like, I don't see the difference between y'all and gay people, and I understand I might be ignorant. That's just how I feel about it. Because I was like, if you saying that you want to be like a woman but you understand that you used to be a man, I was like, I would just call you gay in the average sense, but since you want to be something else, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But he's one of those people, like, he was kicked out of his house because of that and all that type of stuff. And that's why I was saying that in the Bahamas, I don't think we have the infrastructure set up for that. Because we still
Infrastructure
dealing with
set
the
up for
cost
what?
of kids'
For like, no people just get kicked out their house for that shit. Because you forget,
That's what I'm saying.
You forget we as a Christian nation, we don't deal with that shit. And that's boy, so much shit. There's been so much shit the Bahamas has missed out of because of this whole Christian nation bullshit. I just be like, my God, man.
Yeah, but that's why I was telling you before when me and you was talking about that. That's a part of our identity. That's always going to be an issue. There's never going to be a time where it's not going to be. Trust me, that's a part of the Bahamian identity. The first thing is the fact that you like used to be a part of Britain. The second thing is the fact that like we as a Christian nation, we don't really like. I don't want to say it's laziness. It's just the fact that we don't really go out of our way to make a actual identity for what the Bahamian or Bahamas is supposed to be. We still clinging on to tourism. We have no real other thing outside of that. If a serious situation comes into the picture that shuts down all travel to the Bahamas, we are gonna crumple under the weight. Or whatever that situation is.
I was so gung-ho. You know what? This is gonna sound really bad coming from me, and if anyone hates me for saying this, then so be it. I was one of the things that I was happy about the pandemic coming for was the awakening of the people them in charge of shit. Because I was like, oh, see, now they realize that this shit can't fucking fly for too long. Because look at what happening now. Everything is closed down. We can't get nothing in, nothing out. No one will come out because the world is closed. But no, I thought that would have woken the eyes up to the people in charge, and they would have been like, you know what, we need to change some shit. I was wrong.
Trust me, I know exactly how you feel. Because I try not to criticize too hard because I understand that leading a nation is hard. It's just the fact that it's sad to see that it doesn't look like it changed anything.
Yeah, it didn't even move
it didn't. No, the leaders in charge had us believing that it would change, you know. But they lied to us, They
I wouldn't even call that lying. It's just this is the easy way out. That's all it is. It's like, look, to get Bahamian people to actually change their way of living, they're trying to get re-elected. They know that could be a losing battle because once you get people to do things that they don't want to do, first thing they can do is go to the ballot box and vote against you, and that's what it usually is, in my opinion, anyway.